Welcome back. We're getting in breaking inputs. This is with regards to a Cabinet Council meet that has been presided over by the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif after India's bold diplomatic offensive against Pakistan. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has chaired a meeting of the National Security Committee in Islamabad. Remember, this is in response to India's five-point action that has been taken yesterday that also included the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, also the revocation of the SARC visas as well. That also includes, in fact, closing off of the Atari-Wagah border. On that note, in fact, let's quickly go across to Siddhant Mishra, who will be bringing us all those inputs as far as the key takeaways of this meeting is concerned. Siddhant, give us a sense of what we can expect as far as the outcome of the National Security Committee meet is concerned.
Right now we have very little information, perhaps what could be an outcome of this meeting, but definitely, Akanksha, this meeting is has been planned by Shehbaz Sharif government to issue a strong statement on the decisions which India made yesterday, and in fact it was announced by Foreign Secretary last late evening. So in fact there is some information which Pakistani army is planting to their close journalists, and that information is all about some major decision, maybe on Shimla agreement, or perhaps a few more treaties that are existing between the two countries. We have very little detail as far as what could be the action plan of Pakistan, but for now, there is very little is left for Pakistan to do, as what India did yesterday. Perhaps the decision to keep Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, downgrading the diplomatic presence, revocation of SARC visa, then also summoning a senior Pakistani diplomat here in New Delhi and perhaps handing over him the note, telling him, and in fact in a way officially conveying to him that the officers of Army, Navy and Air Force of Pakistani side here in New Delhi are persona non grata.
Right. So, Siddhant, we've seen that, Pakistan is again resorting to the conventional playbook, which is, of course, to be in denial. Yesterday, we heard statements come in from Ishaq Dar, who went on to question India's stance, calling us hasty, demanding proof and evidence for that entire terror attack that took place. But having said that, give us a sense of how Islamabad is currently in a state of huddle, because remember, we've already downgraded our diplomatic ties. Many of those Pakistani diplomats have been given only 48 hours to leave, apart from, of course, the suspension of the Indus Treaty.
Well, the biggest setback, Akanksha, for Pakistan at this point in time is the kind of support that India is receiving from major world players, United States, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, Germany. In fact, from last 48 hours, all these countries have strongly reacted to the terror attacks in Pahalgam. In fact, the leaders of these countries have spoken to Prime Minister Modi personally, President Trump, Vice President Vance, then Prime Minister of Mauritius, and in fact, various other countries have also issued condemnation at the level of heads of states and heads of governments. Perhaps that is something which is making Pakistan very, very nervous at this point in time. This was not the case before, Akanksha. And in fact, today also, when Prime Minister, made his remarks in Bihar's Madhubani, he spoke in English. And the whole idea of him speaking in English was to reach out to the global audience, to tell the world what Pakistan is doing, to expose
and when
Pakistan.
you're saying that, Prime Minister made that attempt to also reach out to the global audience, is Pakistan finding itself increasingly isolated, that too by its own conventional allies like the United States and even China? Because remember, China itself has been a victim of the terror attacks, given it's lost several of its own Chinese officials when it comes to the CPEC.
Well, that's right, Akanksha, and that's what, in fact, I was highlighting, that even Chinese envoy here in New Delhi has also issued condemnation. So it says about the rising clout of India in geopolitics, and also how India has successfully outmaneuvered Pakistan's disinformation and lies on Kashmir and various other issues. So that is something, Akanksha, which is making Pakistan very, very nervous, because you know the statement issued by Saudi Arabia and India, if you read that one particular paragraph, it is huge. It says a lot, because given the closeness that Saudi Arabia had with Pakistan at one point in time, despite that, a very strong statement, a paragraph was mentioned on this terror attack.
Right.
So it says it all.
Absolutely, and Saudi Arabia being a very key player, in fact, the head of the OIC, that in itself is a defining moment for the relations between Saudi Arabia and India. Many thanks to you, Siddhant, for putting that into perspective.
The last hour. Anything can happen between the bells. But what happens during the last hour is what matters the most. The biggest market swings. A close-up look at what's driving them and how the investors are reacting. Watch the most seasoned market mavens guide you through the most important hour of the trading day. NSE Closing Bell. At these times, only on CNBC TV 18 and CNBCTV18.com.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV 18 on all of our digital platforms.